I have a 2000 Ford Ranger XLT 3.0 V6, and we're going to replace the fuel filter. Now, in order to replace this fuel filter, which I purchased at AutoZone, here's the fuel filter. Now, it does come with a new bracket, so you're not going to have to retain the old bracket. Now, first thing we want to do is depressurize the fuel system, so we want to find out where the fuel pump relay is. And if you have the owner's manual, it shows here that it is located in section 5 in the fuse panel in the engine compartment. And it is a small relay located right there. Now we want to remove that relay, and we do want to start the vehicle up a couple times to make sure that the system gets depressurized. Now in some cases the vehicle will turn on. Once it turns on, it should shut off. I'm going to go ahead and pull the relay, and then I'm going to go ahead and start up the vehicle a couple times just to make sure that it does not run. That way we know that the fuel system has been depressurized. There's the relay that I just pulled out. I'm going to go ahead and start up the vehicle. So I started up 2 or 3 times. And it does not want to start, so now I know that I have no fuel pressure. Now in some vehicles, when you do this, it does start up, and then when you pull the relay, or if you've already pulled the relay, it goes ahead and it just shuts off after maybe 10-15 seconds. In my case, as soon as I pulled that relay, it had a hard time starting, so I knew that I didn't have too much pressure in the line. So now we need to get under the vehicle, right here under the driver's door. The fuel filter is located right down there on that frame. There's a 13mm bolt. Now the fuel filter is right here. I'll show you where it's at, right about there. And then there's lines on one side, and there's 2 lines on one side, and there's 1 line on the other. On the other side, there's also the 13mm bolt. So we need to pull that out. Once we take that 13mm bolt, pull that fuel filter away from there, so that we have a little bit of room in order to take off those lines. Now, I thought I was going to need a special line tool to remove these, but you don't. So the first thing we want to do is take off that 13mm bolt. We'll go ahead and remove that first. So I just took my impact gun, 13mm bolt. Take that 13mm bolt off. You're going to need a pan of some sort to catch the fuel, and some rags. I'm going to go ahead and pull that fuel filter a little bit away from us. Now there is a braided cable that's attached to the bottom of right there. So make sure you just take that cable off so that you can pull that fuel filter towards you a little bit. Tuck some rags under there to catch some of the fuel. And then on this end first is the green end. You're going to press on those 2 little green tabs, and then you should be able to pull apart the line. Now that's probably the hardest line to take off. Now you're going to have to retain that green clip. Now be careful here when you're pulling the line, because fuel is spewing out. Make sure you're wearing gloves, protective glasses if you have them. And this is just the excess fuel that's in the fuel filter. So I just kind of tucked that line up a little bit to get that out of the way. And then I pulled down on the fuel filter to kind of drain some of that fuel out of there. And then there's a clip on the back fuel line, which you could use a little flat head screwdriver. You could try to pull on it, but you want to be a little bit careful. The new fuel filter did come with new clips. It came with 3 new clips, but it did not come with that green one. And I did need the green one because that line is different. The other 2 lines are similar, that they use a certain style clip, like the one I just took off of that back line. And then we're going to go and pull that. Now that green clip, I believe that's the thicker line. And then that one, it will go to the line that's tucked up on top. And that one's different because that only has like 2 holes on the sides of it. The other 2 lines have actually 4 little like cutout holes where the clips go through. And if you're having a problem like getting those clips back in, you want to rotate that line a little bit and maybe put it in through a different hole. Because that's what happened to me. I was trying to put that in once I started putting it in, and those clips did not want to go, well, they wouldn't seat in there correctly. One side wouldn't. You want to make sure both sides of that clip snap into place. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to take the other side of this clip out. I'm trying to kind of pull it a little bit with my hand and turn it, and then I'm going to get my screwdriver, and then you just kind of pry on it, and then the clip just kind of comes out. It's almost like a C-type clip, but they're made out of plastic. And like I said, the new fuel filter does come with new clips. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the new fuel filter does come with new clips, but you are going to have to retain that green clip. So now what I'm doing is I'm looking at both fuel filters to make sure they're identical. So next, what we're going to want to do is we're going to go ahead and take off the little rubber covers on each inlet of the fuel filter, and then start to try to install it. Now the clips are attached. As you see, I'm taking one off now. They are attached to the ends of the fuel filter, so you just want to take those off, put the line on, and then slide the clip through. Now, like I mentioned earlier, if the clip's not going all the way through, then you want to do is you want to turn the hose and stick it into a different part of that hole. At least that's what I did, and I noticed that the clip ended up finally going through. When the clip goes through, there's 2 little tabs that go through, and both those tabs have to completely snap all the way through, or else that line is not going to be on there correctly. I had a little bit of a hard time. Only one side of it was going through, so I had to take the clip back out, rotate the line, and stick that clip in through another section of that hose. That hose has like 4 little openings. It goes in through one side, and then it pops out through 2 openings, and that's where it snaps into place. And 2 of these lines are like that. This line on this side and the back line on the other side, the smaller one. Both use those kind of clips. Now, this fuel filter does come with 3 clips. It comes with 2 white ones and 1 black one. Now, the black one, you are not going to use it in this application. You're going to retain the green clip, which means you're going to have to take it off the old fuel filter and put it onto this new fuel filter. You have to be real careful when you're taking that off that you do not crack or break that clip. If you do, then you're going to have to go back to the auto parts store and purchase a new clip. Now, they do sell them, but you want to try to avoid that. So now, as you see, I had to take the clip off on that one side. Now I'm trying to rotate the hose so that I can put the clip in so it's seated correctly. So it seems like it just goes in real easily, but what happens is if you stick it in through the wrong section, it won't go all the way through and the clip will kind of go in there crooked and it won't snap in there all the way through. In other words, both of the little legs that are going through are not snapping all the way through, only one is. So you might have to finagle it a little bit. But all you have to make sure is that both those clips, like I did right there, went all the way through on that. Now you don't have to worry about having the correct position on the fuel filter because you can still rotate it even though it's already snapped into place. And I think I'm still playing with it here because I wasn't happy that it went all the way through. So you want to make sure that that clip is completely seated in there or else you'll have a leak. There, I think I got it that time. It goes through and then there's two little pieces that will come through that line and it snaps all the way through. And this is the back line, which is the same thing. There's the clip. I have to remove that. And then I just moved the black clip aside too. So now that I know that I had to do that on that side, I'm going to have to do something similar on this side. I'm going to try to put the clip on. And if it doesn't go in, I'm going to have to remove it again and then make sure it goes in just through a different section of that same hose. So as you're pushing that through, you can tell if that the clip goes all the way through because there's two sides to that clip that have to go all the way through. And one side's clipping, but the other side doesn't. So I have to pull it off again. Now the hose is not marked in an area where you know exactly where to put it in. So I just kind of rotated it, the clip a little bit to another section. And then I'm just trying to put it back in there to see if it snaps into place. Now you can also probably get a small screwdriver and push on the clip and then make it go through. That's a high possibility you can do that. I didn't want to break any of these clips. So the next step, I'm going to have to grab the green clip. I don't realize it right now because I'm trying to see if that black clip, I can use the black clip. But you can't because this hose only has two holes in it, one on each side for that green clip. Whereas the other hoses have 4 holes to it. So I got to pull off this little clip that I'm showing you here. And you got to take like a little screwdriver on each end and then just kind of lift it up over the little hump right there. So I take it to my bench and I do that. So now I come back with the clip and I'm just going to show you. You take a little screwdriver. And then you just want to lift up on that little end right there on each side and then lift it over the little hump on the fuel filter. Once you get it off, then you're going to take it and put it on the new fuel filter and it will just kind of snap right over there. And then you just take your line and line up those two sides through the openings and it should just snap right into place. And then now what you want to do is take that braided line that's back there and then rehook it back into that spot right there. And then just position that bracket on the fuel filter all the way to the right so that it's actually hooked on to the fuel filter and it's not moving around. When you do that, it will line up the bolt or the stud on the frame. As you can see, I'm trying to move that bracket over to the right because it's sitting in the middle. So that part right there has to go all the way to the right. I thought it was bent, but it actually just came unhooked. So as you push it all the way to the right, it will hook onto the lip of the fuel filter. Just like that. And then now it'll be easier for you to put it back onto the frame. Once it's on the frame, and that's hooked on back onto there, then we can go ahead and put our 13mm bolt back on. So we're going to go ahead and put the nut back on the stud onto the frame. I'm going to go ahead and put it on by hand and then tighten it up with our impact. Once we got that on there, then we're going to go ahead and move to the engine bay and put our relay back on. So now we're back in the engine bay and we're installing our fuel pump relay. And then now we're going to go ahead and start up the vehicle. So I go to crank it and it starts right up. So we're good to go. Now the next step is going to be to just put the fuse cover back on. I'm just saying that it started right up. So we're going to go ahead and just put our fuse cover back on. Now I have a big fuse on top of there for my amplifiers in my truck. You're not going to have this on yours. And that pretty much does it. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.